evening. Thank you, Jim. And you know, by the way, he mentioned Tivoli, so I became the general manager of the Tivoli division. And one of the things that teams educated me on is Tivoli. There's another bit of trivia here. Tivoli spelled backwards is what? I love it. They told me it's I love it, and I love that because what I really believe is life is all about passion. Whatever you work on, you better be passionate about it. And for me, another thing that I love is being here with all of you today at the 10th anniversary of this event. Because I remember back in, it was 1999, I was actually the first director of Linux strategy at IBM. And I still remember all the conversations we were having in Armonk as to, wait a minute, this thing is free? It's developed by open source. We don't control what's going on with the OS, and people are going to put this in the enterprise? Yep. And the fact that we're here 10 years later, I mean 15, 14 years later, it is just a thrill for me to be here and to be at this event with Red Hat. What I would like to do over the next 30 minutes or so is share with you IBM's point of view as to where we see things going, why this partnership with Red Hat is so important to us, and on cloud in particular, how do we see things evolving? So first of all, we do studies, right? Every year we talk to CFOs, we talk to CMOs, we talk to CEOs. Which factors are influencing your company and your industry the most? And for many, many years, like in the 2006, 2007, 2008, what we kept hearing is the number one factor, market factors, GDP, inflation, demand. How am I going to deal with all these factors, right? But now, last couple of years in a row, the CEOs are saying the number one factor is technology. It's technology. Technology is driving a lot of change. It's creating opportunities to build a competitive advantage, maybe the only thing that can enable companies to build a competitive advantage. And when you think about it, look, I've been in the industry a couple of decades. I don't remember a time when there was this much disruption happening all at once. Whether it's mobile, social, you know all about big data, analytics, cloud, it's all around us, and it is creating enormous opportunities for companies to seize a competitive advantage. IBM's point of view. Three things we are putting a lot of focus on. Three things. Data and analytics is one. Cloud, which I'll talk about a little bit more. And then engagement. So first, big data and analytics. Look, there is so much data getting generated. I don't have to quote any numbers. You've seen all this stuff. There's tons of data. Structured, unstructured. Data in motion, data at rest. You've got data within your enterprise that you could actually analyze to get some insights. But there's tons of data outside your enterprise that, particularly when you connect it with the data you have within your enterprise, can give you tremendous insights. Opportunities are enormous. I would argue in any industry, any decision can be made better through the use of data and analytics, and we are seeing proof points happening all over the place. So analytics, whether it's descriptive, predictive, prescriptive, or cognitive, I'm telling you the next frontier is cognitive computing, and to me it's so exciting because you see use cases every day. People can serve customers better, they reduce churn, they do better customer retention. Those use cases are great. What I really get excited about is when I see a partnership with the New York Genome Center, and they're going to work with us to find a better cure for cancer, for brain cancer to be precise. Think about it. All these physicians, there's so much information out there, they don't have time to even digest all that stuff, let alone make better treatment based on all the latest research. We are talking about very, very accurate diagnosis, and we're talking about personalized treatment based on genetics. We are going to see a lot of new innovation because of analytics. Then when you talk about engagement, think about how all of us buy things today. We don't listen to advertising as much as we pay attention to someone we trust. Who reads documentation today? If something doesn't work, you go online, figure it out. The way we buy, the way we get support, and the way we respond when things don't go the way we want them to go. Everything is changing. But again, it's creating a lot of opportunity for vendors and for companies. 5 minutes is the response time that people expect. We are living in an instant gratification world, and this, again, is creating tons and tons of opportunity. And this is where we're putting a lot of investments. Now, let's talk a bit about cloud. I really wanted to focus a little bit more on cloud for this talk. So cloud, first of all, is opening up tremendous possibilities for business leaders. Business leaders are the ones who are at the front lines and also the back office, but they need to move with greater speed or you get left behind. It could be talking about customers coming out with new offerings. You know, we keep talking about DevOps, but even in line of business, they got to get something out there. It may not be perfect. I don't care. I want to embed analytics. I want to learn as I go, and I want to adjust. I want to adapt. I want to constantly tune. They got to move with speed. They got to move with speed. Cloud enables them to do a lot of things that before they couldn't do, because now you're in this world of speed and agility. And one of the other things we hear, because over the last 4 or 5 years, we've built a lot of solutions for line of business. Marketing, we've got, because, you know, again, a lot of it through acquisitions, and then we added organic capabilities. Unica, Core Metrics, T-Lead, Demand Tech for price optimization, adding analytics into everything we do. For marketing, for risk officers, we've got solutions. So every line of business, HR. What we are seeing more and more is line of business would say, IT, you're not moving fast enough for me. So I'm going to go procure some services that I need directly. And what we're starting to see is the pendulum shifting. So now line of business is telling IT, I still need that speed, I still need that agility, but be the broker for me. Because I don't want to have to deal with governance. I don't want to deal with security. I don't want to deal with all these vendor negotiations. So now line of business is saying, I got to move with speed, but I got to partner with IT. Now IT, what's going on with IT? If you look at every IT organization, I'm telling you, for the last decade or more, they are not seeing their budgets go up through the roof. They're being asked to do more with less. 70% of IT budgets are there just to keep the lights on. And then they're being asked by line of business, move faster, let's go. Cloud is opening new possibilities for IT managers. Why? Because of virtualization. By the way, not just for compute, we're talking storage, we're talking networking like Jim was talking about, software-defined environments, software-defined data center, enabling you to get greater efficiencies out of what you have through consolidation and through optimization of your workloads. It's freeing up the resources that are enabling you to invest in innovation. On the innovation front, cloud is enabling you to move with greater speed. We'll talk a bit about how you can start composing applications instead of writing from scratch, which brings us to the third key constituent, developers. Boy, I tell you, if I had to make a bet over the next several years, it's going to be this kingmaker thing coming through. Developers are going to be more and more the most important constituent within an enterprise. They are the ones who are going to decide which technologies get deployed. They're the ones who are going to decide which APIs to actually publish and use and consume. So this world is going to move more and more towards developers. And again, when you think of cloud, what that is enabling developers to do is compose applications using APIs. And what they'll be able to do with DevOps is get something out. They don't have the time to wait for 12 months to get a new release out the door. You're talking about days and weeks. So now you also need to give a lot of flexibility, the whole continuum. To some, they want to have direct access to the infrastructure, whether it's using OpenStack APIs that I'll talk a little bit about, or I just want to compose my application using point-and-click platform as a service, all the capabilities. And again, what we'll talk a bit about is the importance of standards and openness as we move to this world. So again, our point of view, the future is composable business. When line of business, developers, and IT work together to move with greater speed, just like when we think of composing applications using APIs, these APIs are enabling companies to build new business models, to come up with new offerings, really deconstruct their business processes into atomic units that they can then reconstruct for a new business model. Every business process is getting instrumented with analytics, so you make better decisions. Again, a lot of this is being dictated by the need to move with greater speed. So future, composable business. Now, in order to get to composable business, our point of view, dynamic cloud. Of course, it's hybrid, public, private, but it all starts with workloads, first of all. But a dynamic cloud is one that adapts to the changing business needs, the ability to move workloads to the environment that is best suited at that given time. Adaptive, responsive, hybrid cloud, we believe is critical to a composable business, and in order for this to become real, open standards become absolutely fundamental. I would argue without open standards, some of these other things are just not possible. And it doesn't matter which layer you're talking about, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service, all these standards become really important. That's why you see us here at the Red Hat Summit. That's why you see us talking about OpenStack so much. But it's not just that. We're talking about for patterns using Oasis and Tosca or Chef. Not everything has to be, de facto, de jure standards. Standards is where communities come together and vendors agree to do things in a standardized way. OpenStack we'll talk more about. And even things like linked data and OSLC. When you start talking about DevOps, a key part of DevOps is automation. But the ability to link a lot of tools together through linked data is absolutely critical. So we believe that standards will become increasingly important in this space. And then again, what do standards give you? Clearly to our clients, right, they give you a choice. Look, I've been in the industry for a while, right? I remember I started all my programming days with Unix. I'm a VI guy, I'm old school. Of course, I started back in college with assembler a little bit, but I'm a C and VI guy. I still remember when, from Unix, back in the 90s, NT came along. And people said, oh, that's it for Unix. NT will rule. Some of you are probably too young to remember that. But then after that came Linux. And what I've seen in the industry is when something new comes along, the old doesn't always go away. The world is heterogeneous, and we believe the world in the foreseeable future will continue to be heterogeneous. Giving clients choice is really important. Interoperability is really important. And again, speed of innovation becomes really important. One of the reasons why Linux has done so well is because the rate and speed with which communities innovate are always going to win compared to a model that is more proprietary. Look, no matter how great a vendor is, you can only get so many smart people within that enterprise. Compared to having people coming together because they want to work on something, boy, I tell you, they're going to win hands down. We've seen it happen, and we're going to continue to see it happen going forward. That's why we're such big believers in it. In fact, another example of our support for open standards is something that you may not expect: open power. So this is sort of a chip system software ecosystem. So when you think of people who are building servers today, who do you think of? You're probably thinking, I got HP, maybe IBM, Dell, Cisco. How about Google? How about Facebook? More and more companies are building custom servers because the workloads that they're running are very different than what we had 10 years ago. Big data, analytics. So basically, Open Power is a consortium that IBM has formed. Now we have 25 members, Google, Samsung, and it basically enables you to, if you want to have a custom server running in a Linux data center, Open Power. The ability to develop custom servers with the whole ecosystem around it. As I said, we've got 21 partners already, and we've got dozens more that we are in conversations with. An example of how open standards go all the way down to the chip level. Now, the other area that Jim pointed to is OpenStack. We think OpenStack is incredibly important because it provides you the cloud operating system almost. It creates a level of abstraction between hardware, whether compute, network, storage, and the applications that you're going to run on top. And that abstraction is really, really valuable as you start moving to a software-defined world. So whether you're running OpenStack on an on-premise infrastructure or running it out in the cloud, it provides you that portability, that interoperability that we think is absolutely key. And this is another thing that Red Hat and IBM are very aligned on. If you look at the number of contributions that Red Hat and IBM are making, we're in the top 3. 85% of OpenStack implementations on Linux. KVM having a big success in this world, and we'll continue to partner with the communities and with Red Hat here. And one thing about working with open source communities that I sort of personally experienced and we saw with Linux over a decade ago, that open source to us is all about coming to the communities with humility to say, look, we want to be a valued member and we want to contribute, right? We want to add value where we think we've got some unique capabilities to accelerate the innovation. So what you see with OpenStack, of course, we go in alphabetical orders, going from E to F to G, now to Icehouse. The number of people working on OpenStack inside of IBM has gone up 7-fold. We're making contributions in the area of security, quality, and what have you. But again, our approach with participation in communities is we're like anybody else. We have certain assets and some ideas that we want to bring. And what I love the most about participating with open communities is the meritocracy. The best ideas win, and that's why innovation is so much faster in the open world. And then we also partner together, right? So when we look at Red Hat and IBM, we go to market. There's a lot of clients that buy solutions that have components from IBM and Red Hat, and there's hundreds of clients out there, thousands of clients. But an example that I wanted to share with you, which I thought was interesting, it's a German consulting firm, a small company, that was writing applications for cloud first on a mobile device, right? Novatech. And they wanted, the application had embedded analytics for fleet of cars and trucks, basically for gas utilization and for route optimization. It was basically built-in analytics. They came to us on a Friday afternoon. They said, look, I really want to understand the workload, create a pattern for it, and basically orchestrate this on a cloud. So based on a Linux operating environment, we've got a product called Smart Cloud Orchestrator, which is built on OpenStack. And it basically does orchestration supporting standards like Chef and Tosca. And we said, knock yourself out. 48 hours later, they had the pattern defined in Tosca. They had it running on SoftLayer, which is IBM's infrastructure as a service, 48 hours. And then a few weeks ago, when we had our big conference in Vegas, we also announced Service Engage, which is IBM's service management offerings as a service running on SoftLayer. And they, within a day, even had that integrated with their workloads. Examples of people moving with speed. In this case, speed to automate the patterns of how their workload ought to be provisioned and run. Another area where we're partnering and putting a lot of focus is Power KVM. We just announced this. There's the ability to have KVM take full advantage of Power, all the multi-threading, all the I/O, all the large memory access, because we think it's really important for people to create these hypervisors on whichever systems you're running on, in our case, Power. And we're announcing that as, again, something that we're collaborating on and pretty excited about that. So look, at the end of the day, the reason Red Hat and IBM are such good partners is because the belief in the importance of open standards and open source as the way to accelerate innovation. And that's why I'm really here, and I'm really proud for 10 years this event that we're having, and for IBM to be the premier sponsor. And again, we're going to have a great party on Wednesday that I hope you guys show up and join. But again, it's a great event, and we are all sort of thrilled to be here with you. And at the end of the day, if there are a few things that I'll just leave behind with you as far as IBM's point of view, we really believe that all the different disruptions that are taking place right now are creating once-in-a-generation opportunity for innovation and value creation. We believe composable business is where things are headed. Dynamic cloud is essential to a composable business, and open standards make dynamic clouds a possibility. Thank you very much for your time.